Hey, everyone.
Hey, hey.
Hey. So, Kyle, I'm just going to pass it on to you. Introduce yourself and our lovely guests, and then take it away.
Okay. Yeah, my name's Kyle. I'm currently a student at the University of Michigan. This summer, I did the Celo Camp Accelerator with a leveraged yield farming protocol. So I'm happy to talk more about that. But Jarrell and Yaz here are currently working at cLabs, so we can give a quick introduction as well.
Thank you.
You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'm Yaz. I'm a partner at cLabs. I do developer relations, more focused on protocol stuff at cLab and Celo. And yeah, Jarrell, you want to hit it off?
Yeah, I'm Jarrell. I also work at cLabs. I'm also in DevRel, and I work on a lot of things. I work on some community developer stuff. I work on like a lot of partnership type things, and we just kind of run campaigns out here trying to attract new developers from all over the world.
Awesome. So I think we can just start off. Why don't you guys give us a quick overview of Celo as a whole? What makes it special, and what kind of problems does it solve?
Cool. Yeah, I can kick it off. I guess before we can talk about what makes Celo special, I think like what kind of attracted me to Celo to begin with. And I really like the whole mission, like the mission alignment within the community around like what they call prosperity for all, but really what it means is more like enabling financial tools for emerging markets and, having the kind of social impact that is possible with like stablecoins and stuff. And that kind of really what attracted me to the space to begin with, like, Bitcoin and stuff, like, enabling that for people. But, Bitcoin UX was really awful and stuff. So what's cool about Celo is like the phone identity system, which is kind of like a DID, decentralized identity system, that allowed anyone with a mobile phone to receive stablecoin payment without a bank account and without, you can receive that kind of payment even before you sign up to like the, phone, the identity sort of wallet and stuff. But yeah. Well, what about you? How do you feel about Celo?
Yeah, so what attracted me to Celo is pretty much everything Yaz just said, especially with the decentralized identity, being on phone numbers, and just being able to like usurp a lot of like kind of human institutions of identity, and like people being maybe not the right gender or from the right community, being able to have bank accounts, a lot of like migration population, stuff like that. But really, when I got more and more into Celo, I realized how quickly you can like bridge both of those communities and kind of this established perception we have of like maybe the more Western world of finance, and like how similar actually just simply having an identity and then being able to go and play around in the world of like these decentralized assets can like significantly leverage. Doesn't matter if they're like a really rich person investing or like a really poor person somewhere in a region that's being leveraged by like the global capitalist system. So it's like, wow, these tools can actually attract multiple layers of like the human experience. And
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, definitely. Another question I have is where do you guys sort of see Celo fitting in into the future of just blockchain or finance in general?
Like a business answer or like a very technical answer? I think that there's definitely a lot of room for like just going at it from like a business perspective, right? Like people are like, okay, well, there's proven that there's these populations that enjoy decentralized assets. So
Yeah.
what does that mean for like a company like Celo coming in and saying, okay, well, we're mobile first? Well, obviously that's good for end users. Like I have a cell phone and I would prefer to engage with like these types of tools with a mobile medium. But what does that actually mean for the people who are building decentralized assets and leveraging products like yield on stable coins or creating like under collateralized lending? What does that mean for them to have like a audience that also wants that just happens to be on a cell phone? And there's 5.8 billion of those people in the world that have smartphones. So might as well create that vertical opportunity for like the Ethereum community specifically right now, because that's where a lot of the congestion is for decentralized applications. So from a business perspective, we could say that's how that Celo is fitting in.
Yeah. To also elaborate on that, like, yeah, the mobile first philosophy. What I'm interested in as well from a protocol point of view is we spoke about point identity, but it's as it stands, it's like a very rough version of a DID system that is not very standardized. But there's a major opportunity here, given like the phone, like Valora, the application, for Celo. There's a major opportunity to really experiment really well with DID on Celo in a major way, just because it's like if you play around with Valora, it's basically Venmo, right? Like except that there's that um, the crypto side to it, right? So that is one thing, the DID system. Other things are we ultra light clients like Plumo. Plumo uses a zero knowledge trusted setup in order to make the most lightest client ever in existence. And it's like 1.7 million times faster than any other client because the headers are all compressed into one snark, like a lot of data compressed into one snark. So you can sync up the whole history of the blockchain on a mobile phone on a really slow internet connection for a second, right? And that's really cool from a technical point of view, but imagine from a social impact point of view, because like you can have a really bad internet connection, but let's say you want to use the ledger on Celo, to interact with stablecoins in any emerging market with like really bad, internet connection, you can sync up really fast and stuff, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and then
awesome.
I mean, I feel like we don't talk about this enough, but having native programmatic stablecoins that have actually managed to hold their peg for a little over a year now is a bigger deal than I think we even give ourselves credit for. And so with like the future with bridging and us deploying optics, which is like a standard for other bridges that could all it happens to simultaneously help connect them to Celo. But at the same time, as we start seeing the utility of stablecoins across chain, I'm pretty excited for the system, the treasury system, all the aspects of the protocol to be tested, but also to see kind of the general community be like, oh wait, maybe we have actually got a good run at a programmatic stablecoin for yield or DeFi purposes.
Yeah, definitely. I know there's several stablecoins recently that have lost their peg in the past day even. I don't know if you guys saw the
Titan
or
Titanic.
I'm reading a thread on it, and it's really interesting. Mark Cuban was involved early on, I think.
Or he was pushing it or something like that.
Yeah, and he posted a statement to Bloomberg that he believed algorithmic stablecoin needs to be regulated to be properly defined and like a stablecoin. I'm like, yeah, man, but you got rugged, bro. You should piss.
Yeah.
I got burned. Oh no.
He was getting a lot of hate on Twitter because he was pushing it, and then he was like, "Oh,
yeah,
it should be regulated."
That just tells me that Mark Cuban's a snitch.
Yeah, he definitely got that degen kind of outlook on things, which is good. I mean, you want people from like institutional investors to mess with that technology to some extent, with DeFi and stuff, to experiment with it.
I also feel for him to say that, there's been a ton of people that have been actively advocating for regulation in the industry, and so then him saying it is like, okay, yeah, we've been advocating for better regulation understanding for the whole time.
Yeah. And it's more like regulation to define it as a stable coin. But I think what's missing is I don't think regulation is going to solve for depegging of an algorithmic stable coin in case it should happen. You can get all the regulation you want, but that's not going to fix if some issue happen in the smart contract and stuff. But yeah, we'll see.
So working on Celo specifically and working on stablecoins has definitely shown me that you can yeet a lot of stuff in crypto, but you really cannot just send it and say yeet to mainnet on stablecoins. It's just maybe that's the area of crypto where we hold on a second.
Yeah, that was an interesting case because the stablecoin was 75% backed by its own governance token. Just kind of had a revolving door where it just was it was borderline.
Yeah, it's not.
Printing perpetual money machines.
Do you know how much is it collateralized? Like 1x, 2x, or?
It was. I don't know how much it was collateralized. I know it was 25% of the collateral was USDC and 75% was the governance token of the same protocol.
That's pretty high.
I feel like Mark Cuban's supposed to be a person who understands the concept of diversification. Am I wrong?
Apparently, he said, this was such a small investment. Like, if you read the statement, it's like really eye-opening. Like, yeah, it's such a small investment that I didn't really analyze the key metric. Quote unquote. He's like, I didn't like cross my T's or dot my I's. So, but it was a small sum, but it was substantial enough that I was pissed that I got, rugged or whatever.
Yeah, right. It's interesting that it's a small enough investment. He wasn't going to do any research, but it's apparently a big enough investment. He wants to immediately call for the feds.
And it's kind of because yesterday there was another issue, or the day before, with algorithmics and like the ETH bolt and stuff, and he's involved with that too. Except that one is like, there was no depegging or anything. It was more like there was an issue on the bolt. I'm really into algorithmics, by the way, but like a heads up.
Wow, we've gotten onto a tangent. So you can expect more clips like this from Dahlia Finance.
I think what would be alpha leak is like follow what Mark Cuban is into, and probably there's something wrong going to happen with that project.
Put a big short on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to
Kyle. Tell us about Dahlia Finance.
Okay, yeah, I can tell you guys. So it's a leveraged yield farming protocol, very similar to Valora on Ethereum. So as a quick overview, there's about two users or use cases. There's a lending side, which allows you to earn a higher yield on lending out either your Celo, your CUSD, and then this is funded by, on the other end, people are borrowing from this protocol to yield farm on leverage. So let's say Uniswap offers the Ube Celo pool, and they incentivize this by giving out a certain amount of Celo. So if you wanted to have access to leverage in that system, you would borrow from the people who lent out their funds and be able to achieve a leverage position. This really has two good impacts on the Celo DeFi ecosystem. It allows a higher yield, basically savings account, and then it also moves liquidity into different Celo protocols that would normally just be sitting in someone's wallet, because these funds are being lent out, and then through that process they're being pushed into different protocols, basically increasing the efficiency among all the different Celo DeFi protocols. So yeah, we're really excited. We just finished up Celo Camp probably three weeks ago, and we're looking forward to our mainnet launch, I think sometime in July. So
cool. I'll test it out. I'm happy to test out DeFi instruments and stuff. I did have a question though, like if I can summarize what you said, right?
Yes.
So basically, like let's say I own like 100 Celo, right? I can put it out alone, like for a higher, receive, the people borrowing it would have to pay a higher interest on it, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
And I'm most of that interest coming to me because I'm making money on my whatever I'm lending out and stuff. Now on the other end, I'm a borrower, right? I'm borrowing like say the 100 Celo or some portion of it, but I'm paying a higher interest. However, under collateralized, I think one of the keywords that I spoke about, like I heard about, is like basically say I want to borrow 10 Celo, I would put, like hypothetically put 5 Celo as a collateral, but I can borrow more than that in a way, right?
Yes. So the borrowers and the lenders are completely separate in the system. So you can just be a lender, and it functions a lot like Compound, except the goal is the utilization rates are a little bit higher than Compound, and the interest rate model is a bit more aggressive because the borrowers are not very sensitive to interest rates. If they're yield farming at 5 times leverage, making 300%, they don't mind if they're paying like 12% interest rather than than 6%. So the borrowing aspect, if you were to yield farm, let's say you want to yield farm with $10, that would be your initial yield farming amount, and then you could borrow. Depends on the tokens, but you could borrow. Let's say you borrow $30 of Celo, and so now you have a $40 of Celo position that you could move into any yield farming pool.
Cool.
And then there's a mechanism that protects the lenders where if your position amount becomes less, there's also like a safety factor. So there's a small like margin, but if your position amount becomes less than the amount that you owe, you get liquidated.
Oh, you get liquidated. Okay, there's a safety mechanism. What happens if my under collateralized loan, I can't repay it back because it's under collateralized and stuff? And I guess on the other end, my yield, they become lower than the high is. I'm just kind of curious about that kind of mechanism.
Yeah. So the second that your position becomes worth less, multiplied by this safety factor, than the amount that you owe, you're up for liquidation. So anyone in the ecosystem can come and pay off your debt and then purchase your position at a discount.
Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting. So I'm guessing I'm gonna have to ping Jarrell at some point to bail me out.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask is does that create any competition for people to look for people who could potentially be like easily liquidated?
Yeah, the way that most of these protocols work, like Compound, Alpha Homora, is at least initially the team runs their own liquidation bot in the background where they're just constantly like cycling through all the available positions and see if anyone could be liquidated. But that's not like a closed opportunity. That's an open market opportunity. So anyone can run their own liquidation bot. Yeah, but it's I don't think it's very likely that someone will just be like refreshing the page and see someone able to get liquidated because I don't know if that's how it works quite, but
I think what would be an interesting mechanism is somebody can run a script that sees whenever that function for liquidation gets called and automatically buy up that person's deposit at a discount their collateral.
Yeah. I believe the way it works is if someone pays off their debt, then the person who calls the liquidation function is the person who buys the discounted.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, I think I need to read more about it and stuff, but it's really interesting. I'm glad that you guys are building on Celo.
Yeah, we're super excited. I can talk a little bit about the Celo DeFi ecosystem. So it's pretty early in its progress, I believe. There's a Uniswap fork called UbeSwap.
Mm-hmm.
We worked closely with actually their founder, Ian. He was super helpful in this whole process. And then there's Mula Market, which is an Aave fork of basically a money market. And trying to think, there's a ton of new projects that are coming on, like even in our Celo camp. I think there was at least 10 or 15 people who were working on DeFi projects.
Yeah, there's Deepak, cool guy named Deepak working on being able to do basically derivatives of stocks on Celo. He's even got like a kind of a MetaMask plugin type drop-down UI that's pretty sweet. Nice. He was showing me how you could buy Tesla on Celo the other day. There's a number of people that are doing kind of just like micro DeFi or something that I would call like little aspects that are kind of like dipping their toes into DeFi. But yeah, excited to see what Dahlia is going to do with like UbeSwap. I feel like it's interesting. People are excited about like, yes, we've managed to fork like things like Uniswap, or like people are building almost like their own custom AMMs right now in Celo like that. But it's also just kind of cool to see what the next evolution is inside of an ecosystem that's like similar to ETH, but is also, its own unique animal. And so like, yeah, props to you for jumping on UbeSwap early and getting the kind of like, I feel like when you integrate that early with like an asset like Ube, you're also establishing a really interesting relationship with everyone that comes next.
Yeah, we're super excited. We kind of see ourselves as more of a building block on the Celo ecosystem. So there's, as soon as you have access to these higher yields, you can build anything. Like I know you mentioned algorithmics. Like if you have access to 20% yields, you could create something similar to that.
Yeah. One thing I'm really
so what made you interested in Celo, and what made you think like that? Yeah, DeFi and Celo is going to make sense for you.
Yeah. What first got me started was the ecosystem, just like how friendly everyone is, how accessible everyone in the ecosystem is, and then taking a look at the technology behind Celo. I think it's super cool. I think their mission fits really well with their technology, and I do believe they're pretty early stage in terms of the DeFi aspect. So that's where we decided to hop on, and I think the products we're making can help a lot of people directly by just allowing them to access a higher yield savings account, and indirectly by funneling liquidity into all these different protocols, basically making the financial ecosystem more efficient.
That is the trick, isn't it? Liquidity.
Yeah, liquidity. I wanted to ask both of you this. I don't know if any of you, like we're talking about DeFi on Celo, right? And we didn't bring this up. Muttered Celo, what is it? It's like this anonymous account, like it came out of nowhere. I'm like really excited to see what happens and stuff. So I'm like, what do you think?
Yeah, Ian and Impact Market and Moolah guys are in there in the chat, and I'm like, what is it? When is it going to happen?
I don't think I'm in the chat, but Mother Cell is in our Discord.
Of course they are.
I haven't had any direct contact with Mother Cell. I've heard that they're making an Aave fork. Do you guys know if that's true? But there already is an Aave fork.
There already is an Aave fork. It's Moolah. They were saying that they were happy to see Moolah building, and I was like, okay, well then this will be interesting if we're doing the same thing.
Yeah, super excited. I think like anonymous founders, like I don't know, it's really interesting in this space to have that kind of anonymity, because you're kind of like you're embracing that kind of technology, right? In a way that allows you to be anonymous while still like building really cool stuff.
Yeah. Another cool protocol on Celo DeFi I forgot to mention is Poof Cash. It's basically an anonymous way to send money on Celo. So that's something that's really cool. The founder Brian was also in our Celo camp. He's already launched on mainnet, I believe.
Wow, Celo camp really actually sounds like real camp, where you're like making friends that you're like, oh, we'll see each other out in the real world.
Yeah, and our mentor was awesome as well. He was super helpful. So yeah, Celo camp.
Oh, shouts out! Who was your mentor?
Recommend it. Yeah. Ryan Birkin. He's working on Dahlia Finance on its under collateralized loaning protocol on Ethereum.
Nice.
I was
in Miami too.
Yeah, I was told I was one of the best mentors at Celo camp. I'm not sure who.
You guys are gonna have to go head to head.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say I'm interested in your I'm interested in why I asked you that question. I'm interested in your take on what the future of the Celo DeFi ecosystem really looks like to you. Like, you understand the mission at its root, the core tenets and stuff, but you're also out here like, hey, we got to create liquidity in this system. We have to give access to these to actual like value, and I want to know what you think is like the future of the Celo DeFi ecosystem.
Yeah, I think
let's hear it.
I think it's early in its stage. I think it will really grow, especially the Valora app. I think is a really big thing. What I kind of see Celo is like the first contact point with DeFi. So if you're unfamiliar with DeFi, or you're used to using a traditional bank, or you're unable to access a traditional bank, and you can hop on Celo through the Valora app. Like you said, it functions just like Venmo, and this gives you the access to an abundance of different DeFi protocols, hopefully in the future. I don't know if you guys have any more information on the Valora app and like integrating with the existing DeFi protocols on Celo, because that's something that I would be super excited
really
about.
Trying to get us to leak alpha here. I will say there are big announcements coming up for Valora. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing about Valora, I think what would be helpful, like in terms of integration, is like an SDK. Like there is no SDK or documentation on one. Like I know Mula Market for a while, like they had like some trouble finding any documentation on integration. So I did bring it up to the Valora team, like more documentation on the SDK would really help everyone, connect with Valora.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean,
Definitely.
ideally, we're kind of looking. I mean, as great as Valora is, and I'm super excited to have help and rep that technology being out there. I do think ideally for this ecosystem to succeed, we're looking for many more Valoras to be made by like tons of people in the community in different countries, in different areas. Like certain people have the ability to curtail those utilities to like perfectly match their population and see what else works, see what functions.
Cool. Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit more about the Valora? It's made by the cLabs team, right?
It is made by the cLabs team.
Made by cLabs.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And
That's
it's running running like the native wallet of Celo, and it's just like you integrate with Celo and CUSD, and you can buy with cash via MoonPay and that stuff, but you can also buy out into you can use like gift cards through Dahlia, and they have like vendors all over
nice.
the world. And you can just kind of go straight from CUSD into like an Amazon gift card or something like that.
Cool. Yeah. So on the topic of wallets, what can you guys tell me about the Donut Hardfork and kind of how that opens the bridge up to more Ethereum wallets being used on Celo?
Yeah. I can talk about Donut. So the question about Donut, how did it work with Valora now, or is it like in general what does Donut do?
Just in general.
Yeah, so Donut, there's a lot of cool changes in Donut. One of them, like I'll talk about the least important to the more important one, at least from a user point of view, right? So one of them is enabling a lot of new tooling for smart contract developers, especially in terms of like hash functions that people on Ethereum have been waiting for a long time, right? So there's that kind of thing that would enable smart contract developers to build new tooling, and they already have reference code for that. So it's kind of like, contributing back to Web3 in a way, but improving the experience for smart contract developers. The other thing is it would make Plumo more of a reality. Like, remember we talked about Plumo, like the ultralight client identity, or client, and it was missing a key component that we enabled in Donut Hardfork, and now we can go to phase 2 of Plumo for the trusted setup ceremony. And by the way, for everyone who's interested, if you know how to run like some stuff in a command line on your really powerful computer, you can participate in Plumo round 2, and we're gonna have more information about that as well later.
Awesome.
So there's that was enabled by Donut. Another thing is enabling bridging to other networks, like just one-to-one bridges, to Cosmos, Solana, and Polkadot. And finally, the most important thing for everyone, that was the missing component, it makes Ethereum transaction types compatible with Celo, right? And what does that mean? Like the TLDR on that is it allows you to use MetaMask. It allows you to use Truffle without having to fork it and modify it and stuff. Because all you need then is an endpoint to Celo. You plug it into MetaMask or to Truffle or any kind of Ethereum toolings, and it would be automatically compatible. Before, Celo had a specific transaction type, because in Celo you can pay for your gas in stablecoin. You can't do that in Ethereum, and just because of that makes it incompatible and stuff, just from like the transaction type. So now we allow both. Allow you to use like the Ethereum types and the non like the Celo type and stuff, and that would it enabled everything. So now, anyone, like, you can literally port over any kind of Ethereum project over to Celo without having to modify too much stuff.
Yeah, definitely. We've had some experience because we are porting over some software that was existing on Ethereum in terms of of Valora, but we did have to make some changes because I guess some of the infrastructure doesn't exist on Celo that exists on Ethereum. Talking about that, do you guys have any information on like what kind of existing protocols are coming to Celo? I know maybe Chainlink or
So yes.
Is this top secret? Okay.
No, I mean, yes, there's definitely some major well-known, often food-related item type technologies that are coming to Celo.
Interesting. Yeah,
But,
I saw a little
I don't know what you mean, my man. But there's also just something to kind of add on here and also play into Luke to Chang's question. With the advent of like these bridges happening, and especially with Celo having like native stablecoins and the ability to through governance add stablecoins, like to specifically affect certain markets. So like we have a ton of transactions happening in Brazil. What if we decided to do a C Real? And all of that stuff is really possible, especially with a cross-chain future and all like the potential liquidity that comes from projects that are coming over. Obviously we can do what we do and reach out to teams and get like these food related projects to be like, yeah, Celo is worth it. But there's also all the way back to Yaz's point around anons, but there's just people who are like, oh, okay, yeah, it's worth it because we got people like Kyle Scott over at Dahlia Finance creating liquidity, and that's what we've been waiting for. It's also, I think the thing that's really great about Donut too is like now that it's very full, it's full EVM. It's like people get to sit there and go, okay, it's really pretty easy now to move our stuff over in a matter of like a couple hours. So why not? Because in this space, there's so much being built on the concept of why not.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Yeah, I'm excited to see this food related project on Celo in the future.
Yeah.
So I know we got a tweet from Luke in the chat. Interesting.
I think Luke's trying to stoke the fires with sushi swap status. I don't know who this is. I've never really seen this particular food related chain. Is this? I don't know.
Maybe they're creating their own donut mechanism on SushiSwap. They created sake, now they're pivoting to donuts. But yeah, I have a question. I think we have some good Q&A. Maybe we should like one of them.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I didn't see that. Yes.
Luke's question: seems that more people are accepting that the future will be multi-chain with different L1 serving different purposes. Paint your picture of a multi-chain future. Ooh, that's going to be really exciting. I don't know if you all heard of Optics, but Optics going to be lit. Optics going to be one-to-many kind of bridges. And Luke in the chat is actually worked on the Optic team, like for his internship, and I'm trying to bring him back to his internship end and trying to bring him back and stuff. But basically, a one-to-many is like a no-brainer in terms of a bridging kind of design where you're living interoperability sort of world with multi-chains and stuff, because liquidity in the end is just gonna move all over different networks and stuff, where people are gonna find their best deal and stuff. And the simplest way to do that is using bridging and stuff as a long-term kind of move and stuff. And also, like, there's a lot of benefits in like using, like, let's say one protocol for a specific kind of feature that you're looking for and another protocol for other features. Like, let's say maybe I want to buy wrap Bitcoin on Ethereum, but I feel bad about all the mining, so I can also buy on Celo like the carbon credits and stuff, knowing that I can offset my carbon credit whenever I buy WBTC, hypothetically and stuff.
Yes.
Well, any other thoughts on that?
I would like to echo the sentiments by my colleague that Optics will be lit. as well as, yeah, I think I'm most fascinated by this programmatic stablecoin like question that is still out there, and watching all these projects kind of fail. So I mean, the first thing I'm looking to do potentially, if like in a cross-chain future with Celo, is take a bunch of euro straight across to Curve and just see what happens, and just mess around like that. And I think that one of the best problems to have is a bunch of like volume testing your stablecoin. And I think that there's a lot of interesting ways to create that volume in a cross-chain future through optics, as like optics as a standard for all the bridges, like coming through and just like establishing like this pretty base interoperability standard and saying, all right, well, at the very least, let's build like this with like a one-to-many design. I think makes a ton of sense, and it's good for everybody.
Yeah. Could you guys touch on the reserve pool and the algorithmic stablecoins a little bit? I'm kind of familiar. The reserve pool holds like Celo and ETH even, right?
ETH,
I don't want to mess it up.
DAI, and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And now Team Moss, I believe. Is it?
It's not yet on
that
it,
is
but but like, I mean, it was public. It's public.
Okay.
This morning we had a governance proposal to submit adding carbon credit to the reserve, and that is like the Moss.Earth token that we have on Celo. So having that on the reserve is now a governance proposal that we're doing, and I think it's gonna like it hasn't been submitted on chain yet. I believe it'll be submitted within 3 weeks and stuff. Like once we do enough outreach, there's enough information, like, and people are like, yeah, we can add it and stuff, it's going to be added. And people just have to vote on it. But I don't think it's super controversial. I think it's perfect for the, Celo's mission and stuff to add carbon credit to the reserve. But yeah.
Which touches on the the idea in economics of like natural backed currencies, which is a huge part of like what we're like into as a general ethos over at the Celo ecosystem. I like the way I sound. That sounds like it's an exclusive lounge. So yeah, at the Celo ecosystem, we're trying to really walk the walk and say, all right, like, well, let's look at what digital currencies actually create, like the systems of natural backed currency exchange, and like it's acknowledged that that's been replicated on chain, and we can kind of add that to our reserve of assets. And I mean, like the carbon credit market is pretty freaking strong, so it's actually one of the safer bets with crypto and in the world of speculation. So why not?
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, could you tell me a little bit more about like the light clients and the progress you're having on the Plumo light client?
Yaz is out here leading those calls, so I'll let him touch on that.
So the Plumo, do you want to know about the ceremony, or do you want to talk about like the technology and stuff?
The improvement.
Yeah, more the technology side.
Specifically the improvement.
And kind of the progress on it. So,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So with zero knowledge snark, historically what ZK, zero knowledge does is it allows you to prove an information is true without revealing that information. Like I can verify like let's say you go into a bar, right, and you're over 21, or I'm in Canada, it's like you just need to be over 18, more reasonable. But you don't want to reveal, you don't want to give your passport or ID, but you want to provably show that you can enter the bar and stuff. So with zero knowledge, it's kind of like it allows you to reveal that, like prove that an information, revealing that information. Another way to look at it is like where's Waldo? It allowed me to know that Waldo exists in a photo, like those little murals, without having to know where Waldo is. Like I can verifiably know that. So that kind of technology is great for privacy reasons. But another great
every time I hear that example, I'm like, I just want that one either misprint or that one author of a Where's Waldo book to do a page where there isn't Waldo. Just so that example breaks finally. Black Swan I've been waiting for.
Like the one without Waldo. That would be
just a book without Waldo. He's never actually in it.
that would, cause a lot of people a lot of misery trying to look for Waldo.
It would definitely attack our base assumptions about life. We assume Waldo's in the photo for sure.
Yeah. Does he exist or not? I think that's a very philosophical question, though. All right. But yeah, back to the point on where's Waldo. So the technology allows you to know, like, from a great for privacy, knowing that Waldo exists without knowing where Waldo is. Another great thing about it is compression. Like, you can compress amazing amount of data, like crazy amount of data. So we're talking about compressing like 100, I think like 100, anyways, 100 days worth of block headers into one little line of proof for 0 knowledge stack. And that would cause you to extrapolate all the different data if you want a specific block number and stuff later on. But the point is, it'll take me like a few snark proofs to get that block header synced up, all the blocks synced up, right? Now that requires insane amount of computation, like crazy amount. Like, if anyone is interested, I actually hosted a ceremony, a live stream, where different folks like Presswitch and everyone else were involved. Everyone running their computation for the trusted setup. I ran it locally on my computer while during the live stream, and what I didn't know outside of computational requirement was bandwidth requirement, because it's a lot of gigs upstream, getting up and stuff. So while during the live stream, I was like getting the whole time, like my image was frozen. I'm the host. It was like such a crazy experience, but there hasn't been any trusted setup that's been live streamed. So I can link people after if they're interested to see the live stream. From a technical requirement, if you're comfortable with command line and knowing how to compile in Rust, like a simple library, it's pretty straightforward after. And if you're comfortable with cloud computing, although it's not the best for a trusted setup, because you're doing computation in a distributed environment with other parties and stuff, just for the sake of Plumo. You can technically do it in the cloud, but I mean, it's better if you have a strong computer at home. And the ceremony, every ceremony, it's like every week, and the ceremony lasts about, if you have a good machine, probably like 5 to 6 hours. If you have a really bad machine, boy, you're gonna piss off the rest of them, because everyone got to wait for you to finish. And some people can take a few days, and you're like, oh, I have to run my machine while, you don't have to continue computation after you're done, but you still have to keep it online, waiting for the other parties to complete. So there is that decentralized distributed mechanism to it, and it's like a very social thing. And like in our world, on a protocol side, there's not much to have fun in, or celebrate or enjoy from a protocol side, except maybe if you're launching a new testnet or a hard fork, countdown. So trusted setup is another way to we try to geek out on things and stuff. So yeah, I mean, the Plumo round 2 is gonna happen soon. Let me just look it up for you if there's any the Plumo summit. Let me just give you the put it in the chat for everyone who's listening. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'd join in on that.
Yeah, and like we said, because of that compression feature, that yes, it's great for privacy, like we talked about, but the compression side of things is super cool, and that's how you create the lightest client ever. 1.7 million times lighter than any client on Ethereum and stuff. And the technology used in it for BLS signature can be ported for Ethereum 2.0. So people on ETH 2.0, they want to create a light client, ultra-light client on Ethereum 2.0 for mobile phone. We did most of the work.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you come hang out and do it with us, if you've got a machine that's killer, because it's also the closest thing you can get to in cypherpunk cryptography world to a soapbox derby. I really feel like there is some prestige to be guys, have you seen my machine? So it's been fun.
Nice.
So we're going to kick off the new ceremony, I think in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm not sure. And there's going to be more outreach publicly. So if anyone, if you're in the Discord, you're signed up, or you're signed up to, I think, the mailing list. Let me pull up the mailing list. Or you're on our Twitter, you follow the Twitters. I think you'll find information in the next few weeks on it. This is the mailing list for anyone here who's interested. You can sign up to it. I try to send out one email every week on anything happening on the protocol course side, and that would include any updates on the round 2 for Plumo if you want to sign up.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, let's check it out. Does Celo have like a roadmap going into the future, sort of the same way that Ethereum has a 2.0 roadmap going to the future with a bunch of updates scheduled? Or are you guys just working?
We did bring it up. We'd like to have a public roadmap. I believe there was something in the forum post, but I don't know if that was actually online yet. But like, that's a good call out. We did bring it up before that we need a roadmap public.
I wasn't trying to make a call out.
I mean, but like, it's okay. We call them call out, but they're not supposed to be like negative or positive, whatever. It's a call out. It's just a good thing to address and stuff. I can check on the forum, but like, yeah, it's good to have a governance, like a roadmap.
Yeah, but I mean, generally speaking, the design of Celo is kind of meant to just scale, especially as crypto needs to be lighter and more, I guess, more accessible, just by the nature of like, we're looking for more users last time I checked, as like a Web3 ecosystem as a whole. I'm pretty sure we've all been on the hunt for more users. So I think pretty much everything. I mean, we had like the Deutsche Telekom announcement recently for Celo. So like, that's just an example of a like mobile company. It's like millions and millions of people joining through like that on ramp in the future. They decided to join as a validator because they're like, well, this thing freaking works. And yeah, definitely excited to start seeing what happens with the optics bridge, because I think that's going to really help shape for like the whole community as like proposals that are coming through. Like, one of the things we're doing to set up is definitely setting up our Discord server a little bit more tidily, because we're like, okay, with like these different announcements that are happening, we're going to get a whole load of new types of people. And I'm excited to kind of see what that does to the general like community roadmap of being like, hey, what if we did this? What if we did that? Like, I really idolize a lot of these guys out there who've managed to like hand over good portions of power and like an ecosystem to the community devs and community builders. Like, shouts out to my man Boima Fambula from Handshake, who like Handshake's a really good example of like people just like handing over both like core dev and like core utilities of the protocol and building it just to like the community and saying like, all right, here's where you go with it now. So I think that people like really look at Celo and think like, oh, it's very like humanitarian, or it's very like people forward in like this almost woke way. But in reality, it's like, no, we're building a platform for these financial services that are based on these tenants. And then like, we want to hand over a good portion of the direction on this to the community. So that's why like you see guys like Ian from OobSwap who's like coming through and he's like, all right, well, just like this ecosystem definitely just needs this. So if not me, then who, So
Yeah.
But at the same time, like through community funding and the ecosystem building on top of it, we're also handing over a ton of power to the beginnings of our DeFi to people like that.
Yeah. Do we have any extra questions in the chat? How exactly will Celo
I think I just
support
answered
future
Moses'
currency?
question.
Yeah.
And I think Moses left, for what it's worth.
Moses.
But like, if anyone is curious, yeah, we have like we link to Celo Camp, and there's like the grant program. I think the expiration tomorrow. Yikes! So if anyone wants to apply, the deadline.
Hell of a sprint. Go for it.
Do you have some tips or resources on how people can be involved in the Celo ecosystem? I can just speak from my experience. Just everyone in the Celo ecosystem was super open, super down to help, super accessible. So just reach out, join any Discord you want, like questions, and if you want to build something, then just build it. You guys have any other things to add?
Just build it. Yeah, I would say reach out. Really, any of the channels work. Hit us up on Twitter, tag things, tag Celo devs, and we'll see it. Also, just catch us at these in-person events as they start to happen around the world again. Hopefully, 2022, we'll see a lot of you out there.
And Discord, if definitely join the Discord. That's where most of the people, like the community, is online right now. And you can ask questions. A lot of people are helpful. They can answer and stuff. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Are we going to see any dog tokens on Celo?
I not sure I know what dog token you're talking about. As in, there's just so many of them. But I think that it would be funny, and that's something that the community can definitely easily pull off someday.
I'm thinking of like a Celo native dog token. If anyone in the chat is looking to build something, that'd probably be.
Honestly, this is gonna be my one. That like moment, like $1 million isn't cool. $1 billion is. You know what? Getting a dog token on Celo is not cool. Getting a dog token into the treasury because it's worth a bunch of money somehow.
Yeah. Maybe wrap Doge. Like wrapping Doge and representing it is gonna be the new financial system of the world. Dogecoin, right?
Okay.
Hell of a tank the other day, huh? Like it went down to like 10 cents last time I was checking a few days ago, and I think it's back up to like 30 now.
Seriously?
Yeah, the old roller coaster with that one.
Which
Need to bridge to after ETH. What chains are we looking to bridge to after ETH? Maybe y'all heard of the old Cosmos? Big fan of what they're doing over there. So that definitely is on the list. I'm just reading the questions. I'm answering new questions.
Nice.
What is Celo's biggest competitor? You know what? I'd like to address this. I think right now in the nascent stages of technology and the early days of both DeFi, yield, like everything involved with yield farming, everything involved with even being a blockchain company, we are still in the stages of, and maybe philosophically we'll stay in these stages based off of the systems and the way they're designed, but we are definitely in the finite and infinite games, and we're playing to just like everyone's playing to be like on the same team, and really establish this idea of like mutually assured development, and like everything that works for Cosmos, everything that works for Celo, everything that works for Ethereum, that stuff really definitely works for everyone, as like extending everyone's roadmaps and extending even the possibilities for all these communities to start sharing culture. So I don't think that we think of ourselves as like anyone's biggest competitor. That being said, I mean, I think you're going to be happy that we exist when people like Facebook start trying a little bit harder and stop and don't just go for like hunkering down as like a research org for the next decade.
Yeah. I want to answer, to hop on top of that, I want to answer Luke's question. Is DM considered a competitor? So no, it's not even online, Luke. The funny thing is, so our new tech lead, Eric Nakagawa, he used to be the head of open source at DM at Facebook, and we poached him because he's awesome and he wants to work on really cool shit, and DM is a dying dinosaur. You can ask people in the space. I'm not a fan of Mark Zuckerberg. I think like what happened at Facebook during the 2016 election is a disappointment, and I've been very vocal about it since. So yeah, I forgot to send him a message, rubbing it in his face that we're poaching his employees. But DM is like, it's not a competitor. Like it's not even online.
Is this the part where when Zuckerberg somehow sues Yaz because Yaz is like, oh, I'm gonna plead that no sane person watching that would have believed what I said. Nobody. It was all fiction.
You know, once speaking of Zuck, once I angrily, when I used to have a Facebook account, I would like drunkenly DM'd him on Facebook because he changed the layout. They changed the layout. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? You know, he never responded back, but like, he never even like deactivated my account. I don't think he cares, but yeah. The thing is, the really interesting thing about DM is that it kind of sort of, because DM was like, you know, proposed and they had to go through like the congressional hearing and stuff, it did make the US government more aware of CBDCs and thinking about CBDC designs as a whole, but, you know, cutting out Mark and all that shit and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, we ran an event with Dahlia Mulkey, who's the head of research at Libra or DM or whatever, and we were asked not to publish the event after because they were getting lots of shitty things about, well, real things about Mark Zuckerberg being a lizard man in the comments.
If you see all his congressional hearings with him, like the guy, like, not doing himself any favors, right? Like it's like
the smart thing would have been to be like, I am a lizard man.
The funny thing is, before DM was like announced, like the day before, I made a tweet. I think it's gone now because I used like something to clean up my Twitter history. But anyway, my tweet was, I'm rewatching The Social Network, and for the first time in my life, I'm rooting for the Winklevoss twins.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, actually, I like Gemini. I think Gemini is like one of the better. I mean, besides the fact they don't list POS like tokens, it's just very sad.
They're getting there, you know. That's a very boomer thing of them to do. I'm going to say it.
Yeah. Well, the New York bit license, you can blame it on that, but they didn't need to, you know, establish their. Like,
okay, so speaking of Gemini, like the naming decision, Gemini existed before Libra came into the picture, and then Mark came up with Libra. I'm like, leave them alone. You know, you already caused any damage. Leave the Winklevoss alone.
Yeah. A whole campaign around that. No,
I don't think you understand resentment well enough. Revenge is all that matters.
Oh, it's crazy. But yeah, if there's any other questions, drop them in the chat. Oh, what did the Celo Donut fork do again? I think you probably.
I can explain it, but how about a Medium post? Because I think that kind of covers it in a nice way. But like the TLDR, it enabled Ethereum toolings in development on Ethereum tools on Celo, including MetaMask and Truffle. I wrote this article called Dissecting the Donut Hardfork. It can give you like a high-level overview and stuff. But there's a lot of cool stuff in it, and it's one of many hard forks to come. Yeah.
Got it. Cool. Kyle, Jarrell, Yaz, any last words?
What does IOTA even do? I think is my
good question. What does IOTA even do? Yeah. Also, I've heard many horror stories about IOTA as well. So stay away.
So yeah, my last closing thoughts would be, this has been fun, and yeah, I hope that we can just like attract more people to start building out like a DeFi future. So good on you, Kyle.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for chatting. I had a good time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, from my end, I don't know if I have any last word, like, you know, departing word, but like if anyone's coming to ECC in Paris next month, Jarrell and I are going to be there.
Oof. Yeah, me and Robert were thinking about making the trip. We had a fantastic time.
Come, don't worry about it. You know, if you're fully vaxxed, you know.
I mean, good luck getting a ticket, apparently. They've sold out, apparently?
Yeah, but nobody's going to go to the actual event. You just want to Paris and hang out the side events.
Hey, stop that. We have a booth. People have to go to the event.
We have to go, but I'm saying for anyone who wants to, you know, mingle with the Ethereum and, you know, Web3 and Celo folks, you come to Paris. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a blockchain hot summer.
Yeah, that's actually fair. I'm running a pitch, like a cross-chain technologies pitch event, so I should probably plug that here. Yeah, gonna have a fucking pitch night because we can't host hackathons in France right now because of COVID and don't want to do a 24-hour venue. So we said, honestly, let's just have people create spec papers and good ideas, and come through and pitch what you can. Also thinking about like obviously submitting like a readme of your idea and like your spec paper, sure, but thinking about the idea is that you're going to found potentially a new technology, new company type thing. You also should explain your readme on like a Twitter thread just to show that you can like hang in crypto Twitter world, because to be honest, that seems like a really big part of it. So maybe you got really creative ways of getting attention on Twitter, and I feel like that's something that's kind of been missing from these pitches that I've seen in Web3. Where are the memes?
Yeah.
So come through. That'll be on the 23rd.
Love it. Absolutely. It's cross-chain.
Yeah, it'd be everything focusing on cross-chain. Show an MVP if you really have the time to build something, but like, or a testnet confirmation. But show up and just like give us your pitch. Start working on it now. Give us your pitch on the 23rd and be like, hey, so this is the value I'm bringing from this ecosystem to this ecosystem with this idea. Here's how it would work. And what's up? What you think about it? And then we will tell you what we think about it.
Perfect. And when's the next Celo camp?
Ooh, is that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm jumping the gun.
I don't know.
I could be jumping the gun.
Good question.
1 month, 1.5 months, I think.
Two
I think
months?
application is open soon.
Yeah, they're gonna open up soon. I need to find out as well because I know when the next one open up is when they ping me to become a mentor for the next one. That's when I know, oh, it's gonna open up really soon. And they haven't pinged me yet for the next one, but I think it's gonna be like like a few months. So
Yeah,
Beautiful.
come through. And
Kyle,
we
any-
have a crisis for you guys, so we're definitely gonna have some cool stuff. We're gonna have like a whole space, but we can't tell you anything yet.
Amazing.
What was that, Cameron?
Yeah. Any parting thoughts on your end?
No, thanks for having me. I was excited to keep building on Celo, and yeah, hopefully we can get this thing out in the next couple of weeks and help some people get some high yield savings and leverage yield farming for the degens.
yeah.
Love it. Cool. Well, without further ado, thank you so much, Jarrell and Yaz and Kyle. This has been awesome. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. We attached the link in the chat to the side. Also, if you haven't yet, become a free BAF member. This is how we're able to identify what opportunities match your skills and interests. This is for absolutely everybody. Just actually edited that form a bit to make it shorter. So that was our biggest issue. This is our way of Sybil resistance. So, or one of the few. So sorry if it's long. And then if you haven't already, also subscribe to our YouTube channel. It actually matters a ton. There's a lot of people from around the world who have been discovering BAF through our YouTube and recommended videos. So please subscribe if you haven't already. And also we publish these audio blogs. And because a lot of the best content in the space is actually written and a lot of people don't like to read. So we are recording it. And for you lazy mofos out there, we are recording it for you. And yeah, so it's just more accessible. So check out our Spotify for that. You can also follow Celo on Twitter. There's their Discord, and also check out Dahlia on Twitter as well. But yeah, and that's about it. Thank you all for staying. We're going to hop into the networking for those who want to hang out, get to meet each other. This is a great time if you're looking for a co-founder or just want to meet cool people in the space. So talk to you later.
Peace.